Hello, Wethersfield residents. There are people associated with the Parks and Recreation through time who have roles with some untimely deaths, and they run into Hartford Hospital then as adults to hide life progressions where the patients and criminals, and they probably have unmarked police forms because of the way they have acting professors involved, and they demonstrate they have multiple police the forms involved, and they've been fabricating and changing what's recorded online, as they did with the principal child abuser involved, with much worse than upskirting pictures, and with more people and other past years before that, first forced child abusers, leaders of the kids, and people tied to them who have roles with this. How are you? I have to. I have a whole bunch of playlists. I have a shower boxing playlist, sports videos playlist. That has been, I have, but I have to get my professional boxing license before I can show boxing. But in other words, all the boxing gyms, a Ray Cololo and a Joe DeMoro, have roles with someone named Dave involved with the military with them and other countries. Foreign and domestic military leading up to the World Trade Center attack. Their educators have roles with child abusers proven already, leaders of kids. But further, I've recorded more involved with them and their extended family members, like with the name Scalora, at the World Trade Center attack with collusions with people there, and the spots next to it, all sides of a case next to the World Trade Center that day. And their sources in the court itself was proven afterwards, having from inside the courts changed the dockets and the papers, the time the timestamp on them having been delivered to make them appear that as if they had been delivered late in the World Trade Center attack context. That proven led up to a 2006 district court case in Connecticut. And right before that, with Fox Connecticut News, WFSB, and WTNH sources. They are, and now them, because I can't get a response. WFSB attached me to fake conversations with themselves and with others. And the interbranch forged names, switch names. They don't follow mandated law. A whole bunch of people at Blue Trails. There's a Blue Trail shooting range tied to people with the name DeMorrow and Kerr, and ones I don't know the names of, who have been planting evidences with the field across the street from my houses as a phenomenon. But they exploit this with the ground locations next to everyone because they're hiding life progressions relative to criminal foreign influences. I am not a lawyer. Lawyers are also like a Trantola, and Trantola is involved with whole predicate acts methods with WFSB that were used to force the principal child abuser, also with retired police chiefs, are tied to a Trantola and Trantola with drugs and medicines crimes with foreign and domestic medical families, including the military, and their ties to the other parts of the hospitals and next to them. A DeMorrow's Market and Iolo's Kitchen and Jonathan Mayano has roles also with people next to the state judicial branches and along Route 3 with them with federal evidence crimes, sequence shifts, identity theft, fraud, slanders through time with former Mayor Gold and others I don't even know the names of, but further as the ones with the Wethersfield police that confessed the name Cololo. A Bob Chase with Whiting Forensics confessed the name Phil Cololo, what was also recorded. They used their Facebook page of the principal child abuser. They've been, in other words, for digital crime methods that the FBI, state police, families, interstates associated with Ray Cololo, Joe DeMoro, Mike Roberts, Eric Jensen, also as ones all along Berlin Turnpike and its conjunctions like Two Rod Highway, and conjunctions to that like Hangdog Lane has something to do with their roles with body dumping spots through time connected, where there are time uses of them that are the connections, like the body dumping spot of a serial killer, and the jail he's in had roles with the names next to that serial spot, and with the campuses from intercity, the people at the campuses intercities putting big things through time connected are involved with this. Whole bunch of people with like a fifth grade teacher of a Ray Cololo. I don't even know the teacher's name. Is one of the names involved, and they have religious spots involved, and the names next to them. Um, what's my opinion on these drones? I used to there, Dixon. You would not believe this, but it's recorded. It's on social media. I put the drones in the script. We're tied to this. I had to put a counter script because World Trade Center predicate acts got involved. The deans of kids and their kids, a dean judge from Central Connecticut State University has a kid. I don't know his name yet, tied to Eric Burgess. I recorded not trying to. It's illegal to record police, but I recorded other ways not trying to. Him involved with former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, his co-defendants in various courts, Hartford courts and the Britain Superior Courts, have roles with predicate acts that the serial body died by killer's body dumping spot, even if that was made up. But that serial killer himself, the one reported to be convicted of it, is also one of the ones involved with the names at the place next to it, and the ones all along Route 175. Eric Jensen and Adjuster Klavinsky sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm the collusions that they have with the intelligence families in my area through time from other areas. They have something to do with their roles all along Route 175 and Route 3, and their roles with Middlesex Community College and State Police Interstates, Rhode Island State Police, Maine, Connecticut. Whiting Forensics, in fact, with digital crimes with Joshua Julian, has something to do with their roles with Coast Guard, Air Force. They took pictures of me near a Joshua Schumack years ago. There are proofs, and that would be proofs of other than they're pretending. At 3 spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, a Joshua Schumack, a Joshua Stryker, and a Joshua Julian are involved with like a Mark Violet and a whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital that have been fabricating the whole fake transcripts and ties between kids with foreign and domestic families and intelligence that are psychiatrists too, involved with all kinds of natures of organized crime with drugs and medicines and delusions, black pupils. Here! In other words, they're preventing me from reporting things about the World Trade Center attack by attack. One of the ways they get away with it is they forge and fake conversations with other doctors that weren't at all, the ones that won't respond in the background, who all have ties personally to conversations with their kids and the people tied to them who planted evidence on my street. And no one wants that, but they make all these exceptions where they have people standing outside of courts or online as natures that are fighting to force the quality of fact-checking nature, as we know, originally still, where they use time too fast, too slow, and they're making exceptions and pretending they don't realize at courts, black pupils. These are some black KKK theme, Confederate flag theme. So in other words, I never saw the Klavinskis, the older brother in my area, and the first time I only saw him 2 times in my area. One time, in other words, Mark Violet. Then he brought. In other words, they have something to do with the intelligence community at Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut, and with people from the founding locations in Old Wethersfield, Connecticut, where they were still left entrenched roles with the breaching methods, laws, and use of them, /S. In other words, I say /S because the breaching method forced roles with itself that no one wanted. And so those roles were the /S part, because now they had to do it anyway. So now they wanted to be part of it. because otherwise they wouldn't do it. In other words, oh, well, we're forced. Exactly. And then when they speak about it, they're leaving out the breaching method that forced it. So, in other words, I had written about drones into the script years before the war between and killing between Ukraine and Russia. People from Russia and people from Ukraine were demonstrated to me involved with the many nations in the World Trade Center attack, for example, and since to hide it. A whole bunch of people with Wethersfield police, intercity, the same ones refusing to identify themselves legitimately and or at all. I've been asking them to get on paper since I was a kid. Increasingly, it's recorded how they keep at countries A through Z. All identities of difference, used remotely, criminally foreign influence, incapable of defending their notions and delusions regarding the law or the relativity of things. In other words, because these people have roles of predicate acts with facts and methods, all kinds of natures of and methods of juxtaposed organized crimes, plural. More scams than there are streets in Hartford, Connecticut, and houses on them. Just a couple dozens of people have, all tied to this Leahy family. One's with the name Lombardo. All along route, increasingly people on Church Street in Old Wethersfield are involved with identity theft, fraud, slander, sequence shifts, attaching little kids to fake locations, fake ties to other people, fake natures and ties to other people. And these are people right next to the state educational department, have roles with foreign and domestic families. A woman from England who works reportedly with one of the retired former mayors of Wethersfield, involve all kinds of natures of organized crime with predicate acts of facts. In other words, they're maintaining this breach with the cover-ups with the breaching method keeps using, which is names on all sides of criminal and civil cases, the lawyers, people next to them, in the case or the court's names themselves, and or the police forms names themselves, and or the difference of who's more guilty. But it's increasingly the problem, and it's increasingly the same guilt, and left out with subject treatments, and that causes more for bad things, and that has to self-value, as the breaching method shows them how to justify their readings of statutes. For example, they have readings of statutes regarding the validity of what's said over the internet, the World Wide Web. That left out exceptions in exception nature as it is to be treated properly. One of the reasons there have been black groups and people, the groups, I want to call one hate and one not, because there is another name involved. What's the enemy is the fact treatment nature. Black pupils, A through Z, have failed to allow anyone to bring real science. With real science, we know it's real science because it doesn't leave out how nature's identity is showing us. We have the same color eyes, and they are black and white. And you don't leave that out with a breaching method assigned other to be communicated for that than nature when it's also positive onto itself. See, this is forcing nature's Earth's special difference, our special difference from here. Leaf of Hadith was more probably having been defined by the ancients as forced space nature transfer. In other words, that's no joke. That's why I tried to write about it beforehand. Because I asked how times I have to beg you guys to get them on name and paper. Connecticut, private and interbranch have been planting evidences at locations, intercities, and they do it on a mass scale. So, in other words, mandated laws not followed. You can't call the police because I can't call them because they pretended they spoke. I went to their police station and spoke with them when I was a kid. I wasn't at all. I didn't have the police come here and speak with them. I wasn't at all. The kids who every time I had kids speak with them, they were planting evidences and hiding their roles with the overt criminal enterprises. It's not legitimately the roles with intelligence community, with the neighbors of, and as Chris Walters, and people with the name Lombardo involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, doctors forging names of other doctors, with ones with the name Leahy, a whole bunch of people tied to them involved with untimely deaths at Trinity College and on my street. With a Robert Rodriguez, also confirmed on Facebook. Then they took my Facebook page. You wouldn't believe what people, because the intelligence community leading up to the World Trade Center attack, long term and short term, the same people have ties. In other words, constantly, people of the hierarchy at countries A through Z, they're involved with, and or the difference between that or overt criminal enterprises and private ones. And this method /S has been using database identities of relativity to ourselves since it criminally re-engineered the Republic since before modern religious messengers. We're born needing to do damage control about this. But you guys can't follow the subject. You can't read the book sanely. Both the Old Testament and the Quran, for example, they have parts that dictate how to read those books. No one even knows about those parts because you can't defend your readings of them and afford to be, let alone to protract. Syntax with convictions proper by nature. Please follow mandated law when someone tells you there's still interbranch involved with child abusers still being forced. It's not because of their, well, it's because that's the wrong party was in. Get down! Both parties are fake together. You understand? Get them one name and sequence. Judge Napolitano, we have criminally foreign influence delusions. And in other words, A through Z from the best judges to one, in other words, please someone tell Judge Napolitano, because I don't know if he sees it, what I type. Or maybe then he just keeps looking at the rest of it. In other words, get them on paper, one name in sequence. I've been asking you since I was a kid. Intercities, they've been people that went to the campuses I went to. From off the campuses, they were influenced to repeat fake things and to make it look like we had communications, to make we look like we were next to each other that not even at all, or even know each other. Who are also, these are increasingly people that use corners of buildings and streets, criminally foreign influence. And they're refusing to identify themselves. They have wire crime acts and methods, mail crime acts and methods with an officer named Darth Vader. If he doesn't respond pretty fast. Too, at or next to Trinity College. You better not change his story if he was the one at it or next to it. Because I want a response for the rest of the people tied to the Joshua Julian and reportedly his neighbors and demonstrably people associated with the name Cololo and the name DeMauro and their educators and Andrew O'Brien, Timothy O'Brien, and their parents and their roles with what do they call it? Lobbyists too, reportedly. And demonstrably, they brought this up. And they have their roles with corners of streets use /S. They have roles with the corner of the street of the child abuser principal's campus. They still have roles more then and now with that. More people with the name Leahy and more people with and tied to a former retired police chief Cintron, and ones with the name Mendez, with more fake police reports, fake conversations and ties with me to as a kid to police and as an adult with these Mendez people tied to these Mendez since they were kids. I don't even know where they live. They might live near a John Mayano. I'm not sure if that's, in other words. And there's that name next to a school in West Hartford I went to. In other words, they're keeping the beauty of all schools contaminated by the rules with the security and all kinds of natures of organized crime associated with use of databases and methods by where there was predicate acts with facts methods that are used and cover-ups associated with that are used. Two, relevant where the difference between all sides of cases and the former courts names, the prisons names, the lawyers' names, criminal and civil cases, they have to hide libel questions because they have to pretend they don't. This was proven. They're proving things wrong. They're faking things consciously. People with Sandy Hook prisons have roles with crime scenes with their patients and criminals before they were caught. Even if that guy was not a real maybe it was something they were just making it look like he was there. In other words, I'm not using their evidences. These are the people that put the roles with the context, where they put the context of everyone around everyone and fake conversations, and the people perceiving doing it too. They're making fake things so they can ignore people. In other words, they put faked and changed digital evidences, faked and changed phone conversations to allow them to be able to get away with that. See the difference between the people with the criminally foreign influence readings of statutes regarding what's said online. Also, tactically delusions wrong. Or the ones over the phone. The police can't be communicated with over the phone. They won't even identify themselves legitimately. They have obligations to give me the writing when they made the falsified police reports every time. They switch names, make confessions. They stack arrays of falsified police reports with different arresting officers' names. Then they tell you to come back anyway. They waste their time to make it look like you spoke with them. I would get on paper in New Britain Superior Court because you guys are involved now with Judge Napolitano failing to follow mandated law to get you guys on paper, one name in sequence. And I want a response from the principal child offender's confessions and what you guys spoke from fake things into the news media. You guys spoke fake things and about my motivations. You guys are out of your minds. Get them on paper, one name in sequence. Now.